So you guys, you played guitar for Creed?
No, we didn't play guitar for Creed, dude.
No, Aerosmith, right?
No, dude, we didn't play for Aerosmith. Wait a minute, we did play for
that's
Aerosmith,
right.
yeah. Allegedly.
Welcome to another episode of Allegedly Podcast. I am Lucas, and today I am joined by a well-rounded musician, Mr. Jessie Ellis. Man can play guitar, can play drums, bass guitar, and lead guitar. Can you sing?
Yeah, and tambourine.
And tambourine.
Yes.
What's that?
Woodblock, cowbell. I got it.
Mastery of basically anything. And on the far end over there, we got Mr. Brady Peterson. Anyone who's listened to this podcast or watched it, you know his handiwork. He wrote our intro music, and I'm finally happy to have him here. Welcome, both of you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
My pleasure. And today, I bring up musicians and music because these guys love music, and I'm not the most... I'm more of a well-rounded music fan because I like a little bit of everything, but I thought I'd invite you guys in and just talk about, I know, something that's big in both of your lives. And just share it with everyone else. And just to get started, we'll get to know you a little bit. Who's your favorite artist? Favorite artist, genre, song? I was going to say all those can kind of go hand in hand. Let's start there. Petey, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. Right now, I think... have you ever heard of Bill Murray? He's probably like
he's
my
an
most
actor, right?
listened to. Yeah.
Like,
no, so there's a Bill Murray. I don't know what kind of genre I'd place him in. It goes back and forth between like modern melodic heavy rock and roll to like country. It's got some really interesting.
Yeah.
He's got some interesting sounds, but he's probably my most listened to right now. But all time, I definitely listen to a lot of the 80s rock and roll. I mean, Eric Johnson's probably one of my favorites. He was one of my original inspirations when I learned how to play guitar. I was probably like 4th or 5th grade playing Guitar Hero for the first time, and hearing Cliffs of Dover was like, yep, I'm sold. This is it. This is what I want to listen to. So.
Heck yeah.
Is Cliffs of Dover, is that the one that... Okay.
That one.
So I remember,
that's right.
That's a Guitar Hero song. If I remember
Yeah,
right.
I was going to say that.
So I can play that. I'm Guitar Hero.
It's funny you bring up Bill Murray because you sent me the the song, and the first time I listened to it, watching the video is
That's
absolutely
just like a week ago.
Yeah, watching the video alone was hilarious, but it's crazy how good the music behind it is. It's literally two dudes just in a yard riding lawnmowers.
Yeah,
such a good song.
Super dorky and goofy.
Yeah,
but
what was the name of it again?
I can't remember.
I know it's very simple. I was gonna say you can look it up, but Jesse, what's your favorite?
So it's tough because I'm not really good at like top 1 and or top 3 and or top 5 and anything, dude. But if I had to like narrow it down to a band and like the influence they've had in my life and other things, I go with 311. So yeah, I can give a little context.
Yeah,
if we got time. So back in 1993, my brother was working at Harmony House, which used to be a local record store in Toledo.
Yep.
CDs and vinyl back then. Wish I would have bought it back then. Probably worth a crap ton now. But he brought this. Their first album was Music, and it was a promo copy. So all the profanity, which was like, I don't know, 8 F-bombs in the whole album, But all the profanity was taken out because it was an in-store play. Okay. And I remember popping it in. And, I mean, it grabbed me right off the bat because... it was funky, like if you go through the album, it had reggae, it had rock, good melodies, it had ballads, it had some heavy stuff. And when I was listening to it, like the drums were so tight, and I liked drums back then, and I just got a drum set, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But the drums were so tight, I thought it was a drum machine. I was like, I mean, this it was a really cool album. I was like, but those drums, I don't think they're real. And then I found out like it's an actual dude. Chad Sexton playing the drums, and like he influenced me and the way I play drums. But like they're still together. So you're talking 1993. there's 5 of them. They're still together. I've seen them probably over 20 times, and it's just like they're my jam.
Awesome.
And it's a little bit everything. It's like a short attention span type music. Love it.
I feel
I was
that.
gonna guess Tool is your favorite after all you've.
Tool, they're good, but no, not my favorite.
Not 311. Okay, that's awesome. I was gonna say I grew up in a house where it was just so much different. My dad, I know, big Metallica fan, and he introduced me to that. My one aunt, she's only 10 years older than me, she was rap and a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, like, you can say any genre, and I can probably name.
But if you gotta go number one, if you gotta be like, these are my dudes, or this is my dude, or do that, or
that is a very, very tough.
He's a big booty mix kind of guy.
I was about to say,
I know.
If you bring up big booty mix,
it.
it's gonna be favorite guy. So might be weird, but I know the one guy I know I can listen to all the time, and just it doesn't for any mood for me. I love Post Malone. Post Malone, like any mood I'm in, I can find one of his songs.
Post has got talent,
and he did just release a country song with Morgan Wallen, and it was. I've been listening to that a lot, so for me, I would have to settle on that. But again, I was raised on like Bob Seger. My grandmother used to drive me to school every day, elementary school every day, and every morning we would listen to Bob Seger and Silver Bullet Band, old time rock and roll every morning.
Nice.
But
I mean, Post, like, he spans different genres too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Like, did you ever see the during COVID, during the lockdown, did you see him and Travis Barker, and I forgot who played bass, but they did a bunch of Nirvana songs, like live streamed it.
No.
Oh, dude, it's killer. It's like an hour and a half of just three, him, Travis Barker, and I forgot the bassist, like I said, but they're just playing Nirvana song after Nirvana, and Post is playing guitar and singing all the songs too, dude.
I had no idea he did that.
You gotta check it out. And they're all wearing like flower dresses, which is something that Nirvana used to do, like back in the day. Yeah, when they played live.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like that just fits me perfectly because I can listen to any genre of music and again find any song, any artist. It's more about the music for me, the beat. If I like the beat and I like the lyrics, like I'll listen to it. So yeah, no, that you bring that up, that's kind of crazy to me. So just a bonus section onto this question. Go-to karaoke song. Whether you actually karaoke or not, I'll be honest, I've karaoke'd one time that I can remember, and just know that alcohol was involved in me singing.
Might help a little.
Yeah, no, it definitely helped. I can easily answer this. For me, my go-to karaoke song would have to be it would be Backstreet Boys, Everybody. Literally any boy band like jam, I will if I were to drink enough, I would probably karaoke anyone.
Like, the words by heart? Like, could you?
Yeah,
Nice.
I could do that one. That or Josh Turner. Josh Turner has like that lower voice, and I like doing lower stuff because it's not as hard to sing it. But I would have to go with Backstreet Boys if I'm going to karaoke.
Dude, I've never karaoke'd before. But if I had to go to a song, it'd probably be something that like I've sang before.
Yeah.
Like actually like sang out, and I'd go with Talking Heads and She Was. Yeah. Because I know I could do it. But if I had to like do one that I've never sang before and like using the teleprompt, I always used to, I sing along to a lot of like songs in my truck,
Yeah.
But then every time somebody drives by, I act like I'm not doing anything. And I'm free again. I'm freaking going and getting after it.
Act natural.
But I've always
here,
liked singing the Sublimes The Wrong Way. It's off of their self-titled album.
Okay.
It's
awesome.
pretty, yeah. That's what I go with.
Sweet.
I had a few songs come to mind. The first one, Country Roads, John Denver.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. It's 4 chords, and being a guitar player, like it's one of the first songs you learn the 4 chord
Funny
songs.
you say chords, like you're not playing a guitar in karaoke, man.
No,
you're a guitarist.
But when I think
chords.
of karaoke, I think of a song that I think of campfire songs. But anyways,
Nice.
I've never actually done karaoke before. I've never, other than well, that's not karaoke, but I don't do a lot of singing. Just filling in on Sunday mornings at my church.
Did you go to
when I
Estonia?
can, but.
Yeah,
So,
that's where I sang.
Did you do? Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Is that where you did that?
We didn't do that song. I can't remember which one. It was neither an NSYNC or a Backstreet Boys, and I just remember I wasn't the only one on stage. It was like multiple people just up there singing. So yeah, that because that's why I'm like I was definitely intoxicated. It was Estonia because we went to the one karaoke bar.
Not
every
to veer,
weekend.
like not to veer too far off course, but
Yeah,
was
no,
Dooley
you're fine.
there too? Did Dooley go to Estonia? Because I thought he had a karaoke
I don't
song
think he
that
did.
he like went crazy. Okay,
I don't think
I'll
he was
ask
there.
him. I'll let
Yeah,
you
you'll
know.
have to
I'll
ask
let
him.
you know.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't. Okay, so we've kind of learned about each other, about music, taste, and everything. So let's kick this off. Do you feel that certain artists or genres get too much hate out there? I can obviously bring up one band that gets a lot of hate, and that's Nickelback. And I don't know how you feel about that.
I've given them hate before.
Yeah, but do you think I guess we'll start with artists. Are there artists that get too much hate out there, whether it be just them going out of the genre that they're in? Because I know Maroon 5 got, when they kind of went out from where they started to more pop type music, that they lost some sort of the fan base just so they could appeal. So do you think?
Yeah, so I've been on the hate wagon with bands before, but as years have gone on, and like you could probably attest to it too, like when you actually play music and try to go out and do it, you really just start to respect anybody that puts themselves out there.
Yeah.
But like I was thinking, like there's when I did hear stuff or band like Nickelback, like I didn't like Nickelback. I definitely hated them. But when I first heard Justin Bieber and like Baby Baby Baby, I was like, who's this little kid? Like, and he had a huge following.
Yeah.
Huge. Just came out of nowhere. And years go on and I'm like, I just don't get it. I don't like that music. Yeah. So I tied it to hating, so I couldn't stand Justin Bieber. But then when I learned about Bieber, I was like, holy shit, dude. Like, this dude, like, he was raised by his mom, somewhere in Canada. I want to say Quebec or Toronto, one of those big towns. But she's busting her butt, working a job as a single parent, and he learned how to play a bunch of instruments. And he used to rent a guitar. This is like at 12 or 13 years old. Like he's renting a guitar, playing on the steps of like I can't remember where in Canada, but just playing it like during the busy season, like in the summer, just playing like cover R&B songs as people pass by. I mean, everybody's been a city and seen people playing for for loose change. And his mom would record these and put them on YouTube. And so Scooter Braun, back in like I want to say 2009 or 2010, he would go on YouTube and look for talent. He was looking for somebody in particular, and I don't know who it was, but he accidentally came across the Justin Bieber video. He found him. He brought him to Atlanta, and then they put out his first album, and it was that Baby 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 song. But it's like this dude grinded it out. It's like before he was even a teenager. Like he's just like trying his best to do what he can. And here I am, in my head, like this guy was like they brought him up, and there's a lot of artists that come from money and they're brought up, but like that, like to hate on like the type of music that he put out. If you were like to say, well, look at Eminem, he was raised in Detroit, single parent. He was poor, and then he put out all these songs that are like, tough and badass, and it's hip hop or Kendrick Lamar came from Compton and had a rough go and was around gang life like his whole life and came up. But Bieber puts out like music that doesn't appeal to that vision to me, and I'm just like, what is this crap? So long story short, like Bieber, I think would be me.
I didn't know any of that stuff that you just shared.
That's great. I remember
nuts,
pop star, but
the most I know about Justin Bieber came from watching his roast, and I know that they brought that up. They brought like a short term, like that's how he was found. Just found him on a YouTube
Dude, he just
video, and that's crazy because
they're still on YouTube. Like you can
Yeah.
watch 12-year-old Bieber, and he's just wailing.
Yeah.
Like you singing and playing a guitar at the same time. It's like wow, that dude had some talent, man.
It's crazy how people can get found, and yeah, you kind of see that when you don't really hear about them, then they get big, and then they kind of make dumb decisions, and then I think that also plays into also how they're perceived in their personal life. Obviously, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
I think Eminem, like you say, he came from Detroit. Artists I know a decent amount about. I feel he has given back to the city of Detroit and everything, and he doesn't forget where he came from.
Yeah,
I'm not
cool.
saying Justin Bieber did, but I feel like that's one of those things where your image can kind of be saved just by you not forgetting where you come from and just giving back, everything like that.
It's hard, man, because I mean he was like 13 or 14 when he made it big, and that's
That's a lot of money. Yeah. That's a lot of attention.
And that's all you're doing all the time. Is just touring and like not enjoying childhood like weed, like
normal people.
Yeah,
who, just, who play music for fun, basically.
Or try to at least.
Peter, you got it?
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really have any specific examples of artists or singers or anything, but I do think about like country music. I think gets ripped on, and I remember when my mom would play that every summer coming home from school. It was just like country music was playing, and I always hated it. And then I started listening to it.
Like who was it?
Oh, it was mostly like modern. 2010,
Florida Georgia Line,
stuff like that.
No,
so I don't know if you want to call it country. It's like pop music. I never really listened to any of that, but the more I listened to it, the more I started to enjoy it. And then I started listening to some older country music.
Yeah.
But definitely one of the bigger ones I think is like just any kind of heavy metal where there's any kind of loud screaming or people. I would always hear my parents like that's just noise. Like that's all that is just loud, rambunctious noise. But when you really dissect like the lyrics and what they're singing about, there's a lot of emotion I think that comes out of it. And then I kind of liked what you were talking about with Kendrick Lamar, and I also think about like Chance the Rapper and everyone.
Chance he came from out of Chicago, right? The Chicago Projects.
And I just hear people say like, oh, that rap music, all they talk about is these terrible, awful things, and then you listen to some of their lyrics and like they have some really interesting stuff coming out of their songs, and I think they really do put a lot of time and effort into their music. Like Eminem too. I mean, he's also just really fast, and that's talented. I think.
Oh yeah, no, when you can in Rap God just alone how quickly it's full context words too, and he's doing that at that pace, and that's just crazy. But it's funny you bring up heavy metal. I guess maybe screamo can be thrown in there. Whether you can understand the lyrics or not, music obviously is an art, and people want to put emotion into that, and that it may just sound like screaming to you, but to the people who understand that stuff, it's basically giving away the emotion that they feel at that time. And a lot of the hate I feel like always comes from not understanding. And basically what you just said about Justin Bieber, you can just say that people didn't really understand. If you didn't like him, it was either you didn't like the music. If you didn't like him, you probably didn't like some of the life choices he made.
I imagine like Taylor Swift probably gets a lot of hate nowadays.
Yeah,
because she's so huge.
She's huge. Yeah,
I got a lot of friends that have like daughters between like the age of 7 and 12, and they freak out every time they hear. It's like, hey man, like she's killing it. Yeah. So
but
she's like hanging out. Chiefs tight end like that. Chiefs. I'll hate on the Chiefs, but I won't hate on.
Yeah, and she reached like billionaire status now, or
she's pretty rich now.
That's insane.
I'm thinking the hate. I'm seeing parallels though, because Bieber and Nickelback are from Canada, so maybe it's just Canadian artists,
dislike.
They just don't get the love that American.
I don't know. I think it was for Nickelback. It was. I know. They came out. It either came out or it's coming out. There's a Nickelback documentary coming out that talks about them, and I'll definitely watch it because I always liked Nickelback growing up because they also were a band that they were in rock. It was on like rock to a little bit of country rock to a little bit. Some of their songs are heavier, so I don't know, but no, that's good stuff. Good stuff. So we already kind of talked about songs that we enjoy and everything like that. Let's talk about this. The best band or artist band Yeah, what was it? Best band or artist in history. And in top three, we'll talk top three. We'll talk top three because I knew when I brought this question up, it was going to be very hard to pick one. So I said, we'll do top three. And it can be, each one can be from a certain genre. But I just really want to talk about this. This is going to be a semi-debate. I was going to say, no, we're not going to fight here. Let's be civil about this. I feel like we'll start with Jesse because I know he's going to probably have more.
It's just so hard because, like, no matter what is said, a disservice will be done to about 100, 200 to 500 other artists that are out there. Like,
for sure.
For me to answer this, it's hard because I can't even name my top 3 pizzas in Toledo because, like, do I want Mancino's? Do I want Marco's? Do I want Stubborn Brothers or Inky?
Stubborn Brothers.
Like, I can't, do it. So,
okay,
I'm thinking I could do it. Like, I could do it.
You can do it.
I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna be like kind of particular. I'm gonna be like, well, I'm gonna go solo artist. So I'm gonna go artist, and I'm gonna base it off of like the level of talent. Like how talented are these individuals, and obviously they've made great music, so that's a given.
No disrespect to anyone here left out.
One that I think a lot of people would probably agree with to be Michael Jackson, just because of if you watch him through the years, like if you watch his older stuff, I'm talking late 70s, early 80s, there's a lot out there, there's a lot of shows, but when he always danced, like when he was on stage too, when he was with the Jackson 5 coming up, tons of songs, tons of bangers, but like a lot of artists now, they'll have like backup dancers or people dancing with them. Usually the backup dancers are like grooving out more than the artists themselves. But Michael Jackson, he'd have dancers with him, but they paled in comparison
to him.
Like he's so fluid when he dances. It's insane. And then he's singing. And he's singing great songs, and he's a great singer. Like the dude was just amazing.
Real quick, if you just think about like if you ever watched artists play live and they sweat so much because they're singing so loud and so there's so much energy they're pouring out. You can see they're drenched and exhausted. They probably sleep really well that night. And then you look at people who dance professionally, like that's a workout in and of itself. So to smash those two things together, do them so well,
to look so
like,
fluid,
and effortless, and but like.
I'll find it on YouTube. I'll send you one. He still might have been with the Jackson 5, but there's one where I'm just like, how is this dude even moving like that? Like I don't even. And he's like 17 or 18 years old at the time too.
Right.
Like,
I still can't moonwalk.
I was gonna bring that up because that's he basically. I was going to say, he started a dance craze. I'm not going to say it was the first one, but it was definitely one where everyone saw him.
I tried to mimic his moves back then. It was awful, but I tried to do it. And then, worldwide phenomena, too. So, huge. 2, I'll go Elton John. Again, he's a prodigy. He just from the get, the dude knew how to play piano. He still knows how to play piano. But, when he was younger, he just knew how to do it. And I've got a lot of his albums, and I've listened to him through the years. And some of them, I mean, they're all good, but some of them there'd be songs you're just like, man, okay, this album's good, but it was only one song that might have carried it. But then, not too long ago, I was listening to One Last Night, and that came out in 2000. It's like a live album, and he's doing collaborations with different artists like Mary J. Blige and a couple others I can't recall, but One Last Night too was like in 2000. Like that wasn't your last night. You've been playing for 24 more years, But it was like 17, 18 songs, and it's just banger after banger after. And it's like I listened to the whole thing. I was like, that's a great song. Oh, that's a great song. That's a great song. I was like, man, this dude is unbelievable, man. And then the last one, which you've got to kind of dig a little deeper from his pop hits, is Prince. Prince, another prodigy. Dude was writing music like at 7 years old. Legit, right? Like playing multiple instruments, writing his own music, and people know him for 1999 or the album and the movie Purple Rain, When the Doves Cry and stuff like that. But he has a huge library, and I implore you to like go in and listen to some of his live stuff because It's unbelievable the type of music that he's put out there. That's not on the radio,
Yeah.
Radio doesn't do an artist justice.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't think,
no.
at all. So those would be the three. I can't
Yeah.
do bands because I don't listen to a lot of solo artists, so that's easier. But bands is too hard. Like I can't.
Oh,
do,
yeah.
Zeppelin, Beatles, Stones.
Yeah.
Foo Fighters, for nowadays, Radiohead, and I mean, it's just there's so much out there. I can't do it. Tool, Tool.
Tool.
There's so much talent floating around. It's like, how do you quantify that and then lay it out in order of least to greatest? I mean, I just don't think that's possible. So I agree with what you said. So there's going to be so many people you do a disservice to, and to say greatest of all time, it's so challenging. But I guess I think of like who is influential for me, or who I listened to growing up. Some really, really talented people. I think about Queen. I thought I know some people who don't like them, and I just don't understand why. And I think they have some awesome music.
Oh,
and,
Queen.
it's Freddie Mercury, right?
Freddie,
That really cool story and whatnot. And but yeah, just some really great music coming out of there. And then Aerosmith was another one I listened to. I listened to them a lot growing up. Just again, like focused guitar.
Yeah.
I listened to a lot of their guitar riffs.
Like the old Aerosmith, they're like, don't want to miss a thing. Armageddon.
That was the song my wife and I danced to at our wedding.
Yeah.
Don't want to miss a thing. But like Walk This Way, Crazy. Some of those songs I really like and enjoy. But yeah, it's just so hard to pick. The greatest of all time. I have no idea. I think John Mayer will go down as a great performer and guitar player.
He's underrated.
I think so, yeah. And then another guy that's out right now, I think, just kind of looking ahead, maybe who will go down in history as really talented musicians, is Jacob Collier, if you've ever heard of him. He's pretty young, but his mind is just so musical, and he writes these incredible harmonies and melodies in his brain and puts them on piano, and it's just crazy how everything comes out of his mind. And then he has done a few shows where he's used the entire crowd, given each individual kind of a task to follow him along, and he basically just creates an orchestra with the crowd and made music with a whole group of people filling out a venue. It was insane. I mean, how he's just signaling to these people in the crowd, what to do, and he's making music with the people who showed up.
I think I've seen
so
that dude
cool.
Before.
He's incredibly talented. He makes music on piano that just I could never imagine. And so,
Petey, John Mayer's a great point, because
he's awesome.
Like Prince and John Mayer, kind of the same path, not the same, obviously.
But similar.
Music's similar, because if you look at the surface and you see what John Mayer put out, what went out on the radio, like Your Body is a Wonderland, things that like that, you're just like, what is this stuff? Before I knew who John Mayer was, and I was younger when he came out, I was on the hate train with him. I was
just like
this is terrible. But then when he did his own
whatever.
stuff, like Where the Light Is, or the live one with the John Mayer trio.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. And then like the dude tours with Dead and Company.
Yeah. Oh my word.
Which I got to see a few years ago, and he's
the
just
Grateful Dead, right?
The whole song.
Oh my word. He's got some great blues guitar licks and stuff, and he's just so talented. I've heard he's one of the greatest people to watch perform live. Like he does such an incredible live performance, which I'd love to see him someday.
I'll shoot it your way, but he did it was like Good Morning America, one of those morning shows. Him and Eric Clapton did Crossroads.
Oh yeah,
and
I've seen that video before.
Clapton's a great guitarist. Mm-hmm. Like he's one of the best, man. He's super clean, and I mean he can shred. But then so they each had their own solo.
Yeah.
And Clapton I think did his first, but then Mayer did his, and you're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And like he's
it's crazy.
I don't want to say this, but he's like heads above what Clapton was doing.
Mm-hmm.
It was just
I believe it. I believe it was Eric Clapton. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was him, but he I'm gonna forget what he said, but basically just made a comment to John Mayer and said it to him, his face, and just said that he was one of the greatest guitar players he's ever heard play. There's another video of John Mayer playing with Keith Urban, which I thought was kind of an interesting mix.
Different. Yeah.
But they played "Don't Let Me Down," and it was a live
Beatles?
performance
Don't
together.
Let Me Down?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
oh my word, it was so cool. They each took turns playing guitar, and then Keith Urban's guitar strap broke and fell, and so he was holding onto his guitar, and somebody, I don't remember if it was John Mayer or somebody else, came in, hooked his strap back up and got him up, and they were just like getting to take their turn, showing off like what they could do on guitar. It was so fun to watch, and it makes me go home.
Can Keith Urban play?
I had no idea.
It's not my cup of tea, man.
Yeah, he just like you hear his music on the radio, you hear him singing, and like he's got a unique high pitched voice. He comes from Australia, like he's a country artist. But then you watch him play guitar, I was like, what the heck? I didn't know this guy could shred. Like he has some really good some talent on the guitar. I didn't know that.
Nice.
So I saw that video. It was really cool.
Gotcha. I feel like a name that we very vaguely have mentioned here, but I think before our time was the Beatles, because I feel like we can all say that was before.
I thought it was like in my top 3 when I was just trying to be like as a
me
whole,
too.
like what they did globally. Like is crazy.
Yeah, definitely is. Some of the artists that I would put out there, whether I be right or wrong, Beastie Boys. I really love Beastie Boys. Beastie Boys.
Sleeps
a lot.
in Brooklyn.
I was gonna say Beastie Boys, just one of those things where I could listen to the Beastie Boys all day. They're just so many good.
My first concert
songs.
I saw
Beastie Boys.
Yeah, Lollapalooza, 94.
Well, there you go. I was gonna say
It was great. They were good, man.
Yeah, like
I saw them at the Palace too, like
Palace.
98, I think.
Okay, cool. I was gonna say I know the '90s. I was really wasn't '90s was big Beastie Boys time. Wasn't
huge. Yeah. Paul's Boutique, Check Your Head, and Ill Communication, all like 4 years apart.
Yeah.
They were a step above a lot of the, not necessarily the hip hop. Hip hop wasn't.
Yeah.
It was still big, but hip hop like really hit the rise like in the late '80s, early '90s.
Yeah.
And then there was like some stuff that came out in the '90s that B-boys were.
Yeah, no,
they were it, man.
I was gonna say I was born in '95, so I didn't really get to experience it, but I was around. But that AC/DC, I know that was one of my grandma's bands. I mentioned Metallica earlier. You can't really not Metallica, Master of Puppets, Enter Sandman. Obviously, they have a couple.
Like, well, that's different. I'm thinking of Holy Wars. That's not Metallica.
That's Megadeth.
You said Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
Whoops, wrong.
But no, that was kind of the stuff I grew up with, and just I would say, whether you believe it or not, some of the best artists, or at least they made a lot of good songs, along with not just the other fill-in songs. I feel most of their songs are pretty darn good just by themselves. But
AC/DC, another artist where if all you know is the radio, you're missing
so much.
So much.
No,
so much.
AC/DC. Yeah.
You'll hear Back in Black and You Shook Me All Night Long, and maybe another one or two. But there's a lot of other hidden gems in there.
There's some good stuff.
And again, we'll apologize if we missed any artists, obviously, and bands. We don't hate any. We don't hate any certain bands or artists. If we forgot them, that's our bad.
We could go top 20.
Oh yeah,
and we'd still miss. Rolling Stones did a top 500.
Rolling Stones.
There's not a single person up in arms being like, "What about this? What about this?" I can't believe you left that off.
We could literally just keep going around here, be like The Who. Just keep bouncing back between Rush,
Sticks,
everything. We could probably go on for days.
I listened to them on the way here too.
But
you said you listened to Sticks,
come sail away. Yeah.
But we'll move on. A big question. I wrote this one down. This wasn't in my original outline for this episode. Redoing or remixing past songs into new songs. So
is this like covers?
So some of them are covers. Some of them are remixes. The first one that comes to my mind that I really like was a Higher Love. It's Kygo, like DJ mixing Whitney Houston's like song, and it's I really like it because obviously I like some of that more remix beat kind of DJing type music. Another song, I think Dustin Lynch, he redid Heads, Carolina, Tails, California. It's a country song, but he also did it with the country artist who originally did it. Like he did basically.
I didn't know that was a remake.
So it wasn't really a remake. It was basically her version was from the woman's perspective, and then his version is the guy's perspective. But then they also did a remix where they meshed both the songs together to make it one, cool. Which is really. I'll let you listen to it. It's really good. But do you feel it's kind of going with the trend of people want old stuff but just newer? Because you can also talk about Luke Combs doing that one song he won an award for. Fast Cars.
Yeah, Fast Car.
but
Tracy Chapman.
Yeah,
he did
like,
a great job too.
Yeah,
it's really
like,
good.
Like a lot, they're doing different artists are doing songs, or even the first song that I ever heard that was redone. What was it? Blank Space. It was by Taylor Swift, but a rock band did a cover of it.
I know what song you're talking about. I just can't remember the name of the group.
Yeah, it's
Our Last
funny.
Night,
They were out of like Michigan, and the only reason I remember that is because Noah, the editor of the podcast, he's from Monroe, Michigan. He's like, I know those guys. They're from Monroe. So it's like,
cool.
So do you think it's this is a good thing or bad thing? I guess it's just is there no fresh ideas, or is it good to kind of get that nostalgia with music and just making it new, it like quote unquote new?
There's it's hard to make like new fresh music.
Yeah,
like I've never heard that before. I think it's people just pulling. It's kind of interesting you bring this up because when my wife and I were heading home today, she used my phone. We went for a run, and she used my phone because she forgot hers, and it synced to my truck as we were heading home.
Yeah,
and it played Beyonce's new country song. I don't listen to Beyonce, so I'm not gonna know the title of it. She's got an album, and then there's like 2 or 3 other songs, and all of them had a country sound to it, but they're R&B or hip hop artists. I was like, that's kind of cool, It was like they had. Man, I wish I would have known the songs. One was Tipsy. Everybody in the club getting tipsy.
Oh,
that's not Soulja Boy, is it? Like everybody in the club.
I don't think it's Soulja Boy. It might be.
One of the songs I heard was somebody covering that, but it was a country version of it. But it was an R&B artist. I'm gonna find. I'll find it. I'll check on my phone. But it was really good. So I don't think there's anything bad with that. You're gonna have hit or miss. I've heard some covers that are just like I'm a huge 311 fan, and they did Love Song by The Cure. It was on the movie 50 First Dates. I think it's terrible. Like, a lot of people love it. It was a huge hit, but I didn't care for it at all.
I think I found it. So it was by Jake Howe. Jake
Cowan. Yeah,
Jake Cowan.
that's it.
But the new one I think that you're talking about was by Shabuzi, because it says bar song, but in quotations, tipsy.
Yeah, Shabuzi. But it's sweet, dude.
I'll have to check that. Yeah, definitely.
It's pretty chill. So,
but yeah,
no, it's just a lot of music now. It's just past influences. Bill Murray, it's hard to categorize. I mean, if you had to put it at its root, rock and roll. It's rock and roll.
Right.
But he or they, I don't know if it's a band or if it's a
he's
dude.
a single artist who has, I think, a guitar player tour with him and a group of other instrumentalists.
But you hear so many different influences.
Yeah, there's tons of country coming out. There's
it's
modern
kind of
melodic
cool,
metal.
His own sound. So I don't, I think it's cool that you're just nothing's gonna come out in this day and age. You're like, I've never heard that before, unless it's just somebody like hitting a table. And like just making random.
Yeah.
Like crushing the water bottle.
Yeah, that's funny. Music, people take that and they'll record it and then they'll modify the sound.
Yeah.
And like what's his name? He's got perfect pitch. He's reminds me of Justin Bieber a little bit. I can't remember his name. What a boomer. But he takes music. He'll take random sound effects and make songs out of them. He has a really high pitched voice. I can't remember his name. Charlie Puth. Charlie Puth is popular on TikTok for doing that. But anyways, but kind of getting back to the original topic there with like taking old stuff and making it modernized, I guess. I think that's an awesome thing because that's how I've found some older music that I didn't know. I remember hearing a few songs for the first time being like, oh man, this is really cool. And I tell my parents and they're like, that's not who wrote that song. I'm like, yes, it is. And they're like, no, they probably did a cover of it. Yeah. They'll point me back, and then I go search and I find new music. And now I'm hearing people talk about songs that have been covered. Like, did you hear Luke Combs' song, his new song? He's saying, well, that was Charlie Chapman. Not Charlie. Oh,
Tracy.
my God. Tracy Chapman.
Or you hear Tracy Chapman, and you're like, oh, that's the Luke Combs song.
Or the vice versa. It's like,
Tracy Chapman wrote this 30 years
ago. So I think it gets me and other people digging into the older music that I think has been lost to some people, but I just think it's important. I think it's cool. It gets people looking around, and it got me searching for new music and
influences. It's pretty crazy how artists have different. If there's an artist you like, you should really see, especially hip hop. It's very interesting. my oldest son, his favorite artist is Juice WRLD. Rest in peace, Juice WRLD. But if you read about Juice WRLD, like he grew up, like he loves Radiohead and a lot of like 90s alternative music, you know. So that'll turn that generation on to music that they don't know that they're missing out on, you know, until they hear it. So you're hitting the nail on the head there.
No, that's I really only brought this question up due to the fact, obviously, I like a bunch of different songs that have been, I guess you could call it modernized. There was a song just recently where I heard the beat to it and the lyrics, and I'm like, this is not a new song. This is like an old song that they have retooled into a new one, and it was so the song's called Chevrolet, and it features Jelly Roll with Dustin Lynch, and it's basically, if you listen to it, you might drive yourself crazy, because I couldn't remember the song it was copying, but it was Drift Away by Uncle Kracker, and basically that's the beat and everything. I heard it on the radio, and I'm like, why do I know this?
Drift Away it's not an Uncle Kracker song. It was written by, they sang it. I'll find the artist really quick. Okay. They sang it with the artist that wrote the song, but it's an older song. So
is this an example of what we just talked about?
Yeah, basically finding. Well, I know. Well, that's not their song. It's not his song. It's an even farther back song.
It's even further back.
So I guess this isn't a too terribly of a new thing. It's just becoming, I guess, more popular, which, again, I'm fine with that. Do you think it takes away from any of the music that it's been done, but now someone's just either taking the beat and rewriting stuff over? Basically, kind of, you could call it parody, which I'm not against parody. You look at Weird Al Yankovic. He built a career on parody.
Oh my gosh, they're so good, though.
I know. A lot of them are really good, and that's what's crazy.
I love the Star Wars one that he did.
Yeah, The Saga Begins.
Yes, The Saga Begins.
You mean like a long time ago?
Yeah, that one. I like Party in the CIA. That's my favorite. I've heard that one so many times, but no, that's. I like how my example just shows the fact that this is not a new trend, that Uncle Kracker did it.
Drift Away, I'm looking at it. It was written in 1970. So
before Uncle Kracker.
Yeah, Uncle Kracker was like in the late 90s or
early 2000s.
Yeah.
A little.
Another 2002 is when they did it. That's
another one that I just thought of, which I always say I think I like the original better. Tommy Cochran, "Life Is a Highway." Before
you like the original?
I like
Rascal Flatts. I think
I like the
Always
harmonica. That's the thing that gets me about the original, is that I love the harmonica in it.
Okay.
Like, nothing against Rascal Flatts. It's good. It's good, but I like the harmonica.
Good harmonies with the Rascal Flatts.
Oh my word! Yeah, I grew up when Cars came out, and so that was like my childhood.
Tommy Cochran, though, and that was that.
No,
Tommy Cochran
Cars is Rascal Flatts. That's my first time. So that was an example of I thought Rascal Flatts wrote that song, and then I had to be educated. CJ Osai told me that. He's like, "No, Petey, you idiot. That was not the Rascal Flats." I was like, "Yeah, it is." He's like, "No, it's not." So he educated me there. That was good.
Gotcha.
I think another really awesome cover or remake was one of my all-time favorites is the cover Disturbed did of The Sound of Silence. Go back to Simon and Garfunkel. That was.
Yeah,
that's epic.
That one, 100% agree. I'm happy you brought that one. That's a very good one. So we're getting near the end. So here, let's break out the shovels. Let's end with a nice deep question here. What does music mean to you? And whether that be a broad definition or just to you in general.
It's life, man.
Yeah, bro. It's
music.
It's how you feel, man.
Just because I know, obviously, you've been in bands, you've played different instruments.
Yeah.
Because some people out there may not kind of understand how. But what is music to you? What does it mean?
It's so cliche like that. I say music is life, but there's no real way unless like you were to get in my brain and then science out the information somehow. But
quantify it.
It's just something I can't get enough of, and it's been a long time. We're talking 5 or 6 years old, and my parents are playing like Asia, my mom's playing Asia on her turntable, and I'm the album cover is like this dragon or the serpent coming out of the water, and I'm like drawing it, listening to the song. But then wanted like air drumming the songs before I even knew what drums were. I knew what they were. I didn't want to play it. It just how that's all. If I'm commuting in a car, if I'm doing something at home, if I'm out in the backyard, I'm listening like to something in music. To me, it's the harmonies. It's the instruments coming together. Some people listen to music because they listen to the message, to the words, which is something I'm just now starting to do. If the music doesn't grab me, I don't care what they're saying.
Yeah.
I won't listen to it. It could be the most profound message that you'll ever hear. Kind of like some of the Scream stuff, you know? Like, if you look past the Scream, because I'm a huge, like, Deftones fan. Yeah. They write phenomenal music. But then it's like one of the things I've always loved with music is the anticipation of, like, one of your favorite artists putting an album out, and you haven't heard it at all. It's no different than... the beginning of the football season. Like, fair enough. All the football season's coming. Jordan Love just got to like stink it up this year and completely freaking suck, or the Packers going to tear it up. When you put you don't put the CD in anymore. When you play it on your phone or whatever, you're just like, I hope this is good. And then when it is, you're like, oh, this is awesome. Like, my first experience of hearing any song. And it just grabs you, and then you play it again. Yeah, and then you play it again, and then you play it again. Sometimes I don't even get halfway through the song, and I'm going back. Like, I want to hear that intro.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was driving here, and I was listening to the Deftones, "My Own Summer," and I get 60 seconds in. I was like, I want to start repeating. I love that. And they just start. He starts playing that. Stephen Carpenter starts playing that opening riff. It's just like part of who I am, Gotcha. Been through good experiences and bad experiences, and music has been there. So there's some music or songs I hate because maybe I was not a good place in my life, so I don't want to hear them. But I've been in bad places before and heard music I love, and it's like carried me, through those hard times. I can go on and on about what it means to me. That's hard, man. That's tough. Yeah.
It's a big question. I kind of went two places. The first thought was like just dive in the amps and just like playing whatever comes to mind.
It,
and that's a big thing too. Is like feel versus memorization and mechanics. But I thought it was really interesting that you said what you said. I wasn't expecting that because I tend to think the way I listen to music goes pretty against the grain, and it's exactly what you said. If I'm not if the melody and the hook don't grab my attention right away, if it has a sound that I don't like, it, like you said, it could be the most wonderful, intentionally written, beautiful message. Like the lyrics could be so awesome, but if they don't sing the lyrics in a melody that grabs my attention, the melody that I find like attractive, I'll skip the song. And so that's why I do the same thing. I'll repeat songs because the melody has such a strong grab. And it gets my attention, and then I have this intense urge to go learn how to play it or learn how to make it myself. And I think a big part of music is just that the emotional, I don't know if it's emotional or like I really do think part of it is like neurological, scientific response that happens in my brain when I hear a melody that I think sounds good. It's like dopamine release. It's like, oh, that's so cool. And then I want to learn how to replicate it. So I'll learn how to play those songs. I can never play them ever as good as the artists who write them do.
It's funny, like a song you love, you can play note for note, but it's like, what's the second line of the first verse? Like, I don't know. I don't even know the name of half the songs I love. Like I'm like I can't remember the name of this song, but I can play it. I can play it on the drums or the guitar.
Yeah, you were talking about how like even right now you were just getting into learning the lyrics and learning the
Kendrick
story
Lamar
of the song.
turned me on to that with his Drake diss tracks like Meet the Grams and Not Like Us, and so you gotta listen really intently. And I was reading along with it too.
Yeah, and you gotta
like, whoa,
this is
I should
deep
start
stuff.
listening to more, especially hip hop because it loops and samples the whole song, so it really doesn't change a whole lot. And there's been a lot of hip hop songs through the years. I'm like, but it's just the same. It's not grabbing me.
Right.
But if you listen to what's being said, it's like, damn,
it's crazy. There were songs that I listened to as a kid growing up, and it was always just I liked a song or I didn't based on the melody and the harmonies, and it was if it sounds good, I like it. If it didn't, I just brushed it off. And I remember, I come across old songs every once in a while. I was like, oh, I haven't heard this since I was in like 4th or 5th grade. And then I listened to it, and now I'm at the, intellectual capacity where I can actually listen to the lyrics and
like,
process and understand them and relate to them a little bit. It's like, whoa,
oh yeah,
that's what this song was about? That's terrible, or that's awesome, that's really cool. But I only liked it because the guitar sounded cool, and he played this really sweet lick, and he was playing in different modes. He wasn't in the major scale or the minor scale. He was doing something crazy or whatever, and so that's so interesting.
It's funnier that you even bring that up. That still happens to me today. Like I'll listen to a song like, this is a really good song, and then example, I'll listen with my mom, and then I'll hear the lyrics. I'm like, I shouldn't be listening to this song with my mom in the car.
Some songs, the lyrics are like completely misinterpreted.
Yeah, that too.
You know the song "Alive" by Pearl Jam?
I know Pearl Jam. I don't know that song.
It's the third song off their debut album 10, and huge radio hit. But the way the song goes, the chorus is, "Oh, I'm still alive."
Oh, okay,
and the crowd sing it. And like people love it, and I think it's like this positive vibe song, but it's actually about this dude who, oh man, I gotta think it's kind of messed up, and then I'll stop talking. I know you're like, dude, we gotta wrap this up.
Yeah.
But it's about this lady whose husband died, and the son is still, she has a son, might be a stepson. But as he's growing up, he starts to resemble the husband to the point where she starts to make moves on him and assault him and stuff like that. So he's going through all these hard times. Yeah. And he's like, man, my mom or my stepmom keeps abusing me, but hey, I mean, I'm still alive, so I guess that's
totally
something.
Misunderstood.
Dude, it's messed up.
Everyone's like, I'm still alive. Sing that song, and they don't realize what it means to the artist who wrote it.
Eddie Vedder wrote some dark lyrics on that album for sure, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. I just learned something today.
Yeah, it's interesting how music is where so many people express and expose a lot of that stuff that happens, because for so many people it's like a safe place, or it's a coping mechanism, or it's like, whether it's abuse or good things, whatever it is, people will go, great artists hide in their room, they'll play their guitar, they'll play their drums, whatever it is, and that's where like some of that processing takes place, I think, and all the good and the bad and the ugly, it all comes out, and it makes for some great music, for better or for worse. I guess it's really interesting.
Yeah, some bad people have written some really good music too, man. That I've probably enjoyed.
Yeah.
That I shouldn't have.
Well, that's awesome. This has been a really enlightening time with you guys. Again, thank you very much for coming and being a part of the podcast and sharing your knowledge about music. As you know, to end our episode, you're going to have to grab that jar behind you. We're going to have to draw.
An animal call.
No.
Ammo. What do I got? Oh, I got to draw?
You can hand me the jar. I was going to say either one of you can do it. I was going to say, Drew, let's see if we can get a name out of this one here. Here we go. We got a name on that one?
Kerry Johnson?
Oh, Corey. I was going to say.
Corey?
Yeah, that's good. You can read it. I got to make sure I get down the name.
So I'm supposed to read this?
Yep, go for it.
All right. What is your most embarrassing moment? And did you learn from it? Is that for me to answer?
That's for all of us.
Okay.
For all of us. That's just a nice little lighthearted way we can end the podcast here.
One that pops up, we're talking first grade here.
Okay. Right, so good. That's where I was kind of the direction I was
going back a little bit. It was lunchtime, and me and my buddy, we're freaking 6 years old. We're just I can't remember what exactly. We're eating lunch and just being stupid, and then there's a girl sitting across from us, and we're like, "Hey, look under the table," and we were unzipping our pants. Like we weren't pulling our little freaking Twinkies out or nothing like that. But we were unzipping our pants, and then she'd be like, "Oh," just like laughing and stuff. And the teacher found out.
Okay, yeah.
And kind of berated us in front of everybody, and like said how disappointed she was. And then we went down to the principal, who at the time was Mr. Schaefer, who had recently had part of his tongue cut off because he had tongue cancer. So he talked like this, and he had this really big lisp and stuff.
Oh no!
But that's besides the point.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny he had a lisp so it was hard to take him seriously.
Yeah,
besides the point.
But
certainly,
dude, there's like six. There must have been like a full moon during the day at lunch, because there's like 6 or 7 kids around my age, like first and second grade, and I knew them all, that were like lined up, all in trouble. I was like, damn, like what did we all? It all happened during lunch too. Like, okay, I mean, I didn't sit in my pants, but like my buddy Chad and I, we both got spankings, and I pretended I was crying, He's like, do you feel bad now? I'm like, yeah, I feel bad. But it was just really embarrassing because we did that, and then we got caught, and then our teachers just called us out right in front of everybody. And it sucked, man. It was crap.
I feel
but
that.
I did learn from it. Like, hey, don't unzip your pants in front of the girls, okay? Or if anybody in general.
Or anybody in public,
especially
right?
now. Especially in a lunchroom.
Once you cross that 18 threshold, then it gets real serious.
No, absolutely.
You'll be on a map.
You're talking about getting spanked or whatever. Reminding me of a time my mom spanked me at my grandparents' house. I don't remember what I did. I did something dumb, but she asked why I was laughing, and I said it didn't hurt. And she left, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? I think I screwed up." The footsteps that followed were heavy. Oh, hi, Dad. Yeah, that didn't feel good. I cried for real that time. Still to this day, I have it.
I got a limp.
No,
sorry.
I have, obviously, you guys know me, so I've had a lot of embarrassing things I could bring up, whether it be military related. But one of them, I think it's just weird that this still sticks in my mind. I think I was in 4th grade, and just it was one of those times where we were having like story, or like we were all gathered around, and it was one of those moments where like you're in your own world and you're not paying attention what's going on, and then everyone's staring at you. Ooh, basically, it was one of those moments where like we're all around, and I was picking lint out of my belly button, and I just remember my name get called, and I look up, everyone's looking at me, I'm like,
dude,
what?
Lay that off.
Just one of those moments where I was just like, I never forgot that moment where I was just like, where it's like you're the center of attention. You're like, why does everyone have to be looking at me right now?
That still happens to this day for me, where I'm just zoning out and somebody's talking, and then you hear, "What do you think, Jesse?" And I'm like,
"What?"
Yeah, man.
What you said, you really nailed it on that. Yeah,
that happened it happened on a mock board. Like they do mock boards at the base, and my dad got it together. Like my dad was the first shirt at the time. This is like 15, 16 years ago, and he's like, "You want to do it?" And I was like, "Yeah," because I was a staff at the time, and I want to make tech. You got a board for tech, and so I sat down at the board, and they're talking, like they're just rambling on. So I started zoning out, and they asked the first question. And I didn't hear it. And I just started answering to, I don't know what. I didn't ask, like, could you please repeat that question? I didn't know what, like, the proper interview etiquette was,
Yeah.
And they were looking at me like, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. This is your son?
This is your kid.
But I rambled for like a minute and a half, and then after that I was like, I really should listen to what these guys are asking me.
I do good?
Don't make that.
I do good? No.
If the mission dictates what I need to do, then I'll do it. Chalk the trailer and set the brakes.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure everyone. I guess I did learn from my experience. Don't pick your belly button before you check the coast is clear.
Pick anything.
Yeah. If you're gonna pick your nose, gonna pick your belly button.
Yeah.
Check if the coast is clear before you do it.
That's funny, dude.
Well, if you've stayed with us this long, you've made it to the end of the podcast. Again, thank you, Jessie, Ellis. Thank you, Brady and Peterson, for being here. Sure. Hope we can have you back at some point. We'll figure something out to maybe talk about some more music sometime down the road.
Let's do it.
Again, thank you very much. If you've listened this far, thank you very much. Make sure to subscribe, like video, and follow us on our socials. Catch you next time.